Good evening and welcome to AdminChat. We're so delighted that you're able to join us this evening for this interview with Vickie Sokol Evans. Vickie is known worldwide as the world authority on technology, specifically Microsoft. She has trained at Buckingham Palace. She's trained the assistants for Bill Gates' team, and we are just so delighted to have her here to interview her this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me, Lucy. I feel like we should have glasses of wine or tequila or something like that just to celebrate the whirlwind tours that we've been doing together.
Yeah, we're actually here at IAAP in the middle of Marketplace.
In my hometown, Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas, and it's the first time I've been here, so it's been really surreal, hasn't it, actually?
Right. Yeah. When you set foot here, I was like, I can't believe she's here.
So we've actually traveled all over the world together, right. And we'll go on to talking about your career and all that stuff in a little while, but okay. I really want to just start off by talking about you and where you kind of started, what was your background. Tell me about your parents and how you were as a child.
Well, I had an afro. I'll start off with that because I had naturally curly hair. Straight hair growing up like yours, and then all of a sudden my mom cut it short and then I had an afro. So the reason why I start off with that because it scarred me for a long time. No, I'm kidding. But no, my mom and dad were both in the Air Force and they met at Maguire Air Force Base. And so my dad, we moved around all over the world. We lived in Ethiopia. We lived in Spain. So I did kindergarten in Virginia, first and second grade in Spain, third grade in England. And then we moved to Austin in 78 when I was just 10 for real. And so that now everyone can now calculate how old I am, which is totally fine. I'll be 50. It's fine.
Me too.
Yeah, okay, good. And so I've been in Austin ever since, but I did move to New York for a bit and up in the Northeast for a little bit. And then my kids were born in Dallas in the Grapevine area and then moved back to Austin in 2009. But I've been training technology since 1996 or 97, so over 21 years. I was an assistant working at a radio station, and that's when, we went from this electric typewriter, I have to do the little paper. We went from this electric typewriter to Word and Excel and all these applications, and I saw how we were able to streamline our work. And all of a sudden, everyone started coming to me for advice or tips or how do I do this? How do I do this? And I really loved helping people. And then a friend of mine who is a geometry teacher in the summer, I said, what are you doing in the summer? She goes, I'm going to go teach computer classes. Like, oh, technology should know, but I'm going to be trained. And I'm like, let me do that. So you had an audition. You had to audition to be a trainer. And so I got the job as a trainer teaching full-day classes.
So how long did you train for that company before you started off on your own?
So probably for in the 90s, and then at that point I would stop training. I would go get a job. People would woo me away, like tech companies would woo me away and say, "Hey, come be our trainer at our company." So then I'd have a full-time job working as a trainer at software companies, and I eventually ended up at Microsoft, like the mothership, which was really great. But probably for a few years, and then now it's evolved where it's impossible for anyone to go to a full day of training, because at the time in the 90s I was teaching Intro to Word and Intermediate Word, Advanced Word, Intro to Excel, and no one really knew those programs like they do now because they're really simple to use. So that lasted just a few years, and then eventually I got hired at Microsoft in 2000 something, 7, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So then you went and founded RedCape.
Right. Yes. So I was at one point in my career, I wanted to always be an actor, a commercial actor. That didn't happen, but I went to New York to study acting and comedy, and while I was there, I was a personal assistant. And when I trained, so I was there for a year, and then when I left to come back to Texas to get married and have a family. The person I trained to replace me as the personal assistant, I continued supporting her from Texas. So I was supporting her, helping her, and supporting her as far as the technology and streamlining her office. So I remember living in Dallas, driving in rush hour traffic in the morning, commuting to office, and I'm talking to her, and I realized after years of supporting her, she was paying for me out of her own pocket. And I was like, wait, why are you paying for me out of your own pocket? You're paying me to create wine inventory databases and streamline and create these automated technology solutions for this household. And she goes, I can't let my manager know that I don't know this stuff. So that's why I'm paying you on the side, because I might get fired for not knowing access. I'm like, wait a minute. If you needed to remodel the bathroom or the office for your employer, would you do the remodel? Or would you hire people to do that? I said, you've got them, meaning you've got your manager, who's got you, I've got you. And all of a sudden, this vision of Lois Lane falling and Superman catching her, and he says, don't worry, I've got you. And she goes, you've got me, who's got you? And I said, think of me as you're the superhero assistant, think of me as your cape. What I provide, the service I provide to you is going to be different than the service I provide to your executive, than the service or training I would provide for a salesperson or HR professional. So I'm only providing that training specific and relevant to you as an assistant. And that's the reason why it's called RedCape. So that was in 2007 that I started RedCape, and then I went full-time in 2009.
Okay, and was this just local at that point, or were you training all over America?
I was training all over America. So I was in Dallas at the time, and she was in New York. So I had virtual clients, the people that I knew.
And
Yes.
were you training mainly assistants, or were you training other parts of the business as well?
I was still training different companies, so I would train small businesses and corporations, but RedCape specifically was for that one-on-one, but that's not scalable to do the one-on-one training. So I started doing more online webinars to scale it to have more people in the classes versus the one-on-one.
What do you like training most?
What I like technology?
Yeah.
Well, I love data, of course. Honestly, I think Bonnie's over here, by the way. I thought she was giving me signals until I think really anything, the tips and tricks. The first session that I teach, which is kind of the Jerry Maguire style session, it's really fun. I love that one because it really raises awareness. Like, most people think a Microsoft training, will you stick a fork in my eye? Like, why would I take? It's just not sexy to go to Microsoft training or technology training, because we should know all of this. But when I was working at Microsoft as a business analyst, I was using all of these tools. I had 10 certifications at the time, and it wasn't until I left Microsoft, I started writing my books, that I saw this one button on the ribbon in Excel tables that would have saved me 3-4 weeks of work. Even with me with a certified professional, working in millions of rows of data, didn't know something existed in the ribbon. And it would have meant I would have been home with Will, my newborn son at the time, who's now 12. And I realized, oh my gosh, how many experts are out there working at the expert level or power user level, but are just one click away from saving 3 weeks of time. And so that's why that signature session, the first session, is really important to me, because it's taking people from okay, I'm good at this stuff, to, oh my gosh, I didn't know that one little thing existed. It's going to save me a lot of time. So
Very
probably,
definitely.
yeah.
I can remember my daughter, aged about 18, came to one of our live conferences, and she sat there and she looked at the agenda and she said, oh, good, Excel.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. And I said, no, you haven't seen Vickie. I said, she's really funny. And she looked at me like, you're crazy, right?
Yeah,
and we got to the end of it, and she said to me, who knew? Who knew that Excel could be funny?
Right.
And actually, you're billed as a tech comedian.
Right.
Yes, that's what you call yourself.
Right. Well, and I don't like saying comedian too, because I don't want people's expectations. Because sometimes people say, I remember being introduced one time, they they said, and she's super funny, and you're going to have so much fun, you're going to laugh. And I'm like, no. Don't introduce me like that. Like, just say it's a Microsoft class, this is this, and that way their expectations are really low. And then they'll be excited at the end once they know it's really fun, and you know, I play off the crowd a lot. My improv training really has benefited me as a presenter, because I'm able. One of the things I really love, especially at conferences like Exec Live with you and at IAP, is that I get to see all the other speakers present, and then all of a sudden I'm just taking it all in, and then once I present, all of a sudden the things that they're teaching all of a sudden morph into what I'm teaching, and it makes it even more relevant. And improv has taught me that. So I'm definitely grateful for that hobby that I chose. Like, I went to go pursue acting and comedy in New York City thinking I was going to be this amazing, funny commercial actress like Flo, like Progressive. I'm from Progressive, but it's really just been integrated into what I do for a living. So I'm really, this is my anointing, and this is what I've been put on this planet to do. Yeah.
Okay, and then how do you keep up with it all? I mean, Microsoft is changing every 5 minutes. How do you do that? Is there training for you?
No, there's no training for me. So I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and so as Microsoft MCTs is what we're called, there is no training for us. So it's up to us to, just like everyone else, block time on our schedule to go out and learn the latest and greatest. And then, so what I do is I take what's new, and then I filter it and curate it for the different audiences. So I take something and go, assistants need to know that, and HR professionals need to know that. Or, okay, this is something that executives and assistants and marketing professionals need to know. So that way I can just kind of curate for each of the different superhero audiences that I teach. And also I'm connected with the Microsoft Office team, so they are actually attending my sessions and looking at which features really wow the audience, and they're taking notes going, okay, wow, we didn't realize, I mean, we use these features all the time, but we don't realize what gets everyone else excited. The Mac folks are attending the PC classes, and the Mac folks are attending my PC classes, and then the folks on the PC team are attending Mac classes and stuff, so they can see the differences between the two. So I'm really lucky that they are listening, and they want to hear from our audiences.
But you also have the backbone to Microsoft,
yes,
right?
Yes,
so
right.
I know that the time zones have just changed.
Yeah, so we've got more than 2 time zones coming in Outlook. We have sticky time zones in Outlook already. In Office for Mac, we have 2 time zones available now in the calendar, and then we also have the end time zone in the Outlook for Mac. So, yeah, they're listening, and they're like, okay, what else do we need? What else do we need? So, yeah, it's really fun.
What is your very favorite tip to train?
Well, F4 is kind of raunchy, so that's fun. F4 is always a good one. Let's see. Probably Excel tables. That's the one feature where I was working at Microsoft I didn't know existed. And once people see that, because really in Excel, if the whole point of Excel is obviously to have insights into the data and reporting, but the moment that there's an error in your report, nothing else can be trusted. So the beautiful thing about Excel tables is that it helps you eliminate any manual work or unessential work in these reports. A professional report with one click of a button, and it truly automates it and builds up the confidence for anyone using it. So Excel tables typically is a favorite. But like Windows L, simple thing as locking your computer with Windows L, people tell me they love that. And then the Windows left and right arrows, snapping your windows side by side. Executives love that. So yeah, how long do we have? What's your favorite one?
I have so many. Yeah. I've seen it like hundreds and hundreds of times.
Styles, you started using styles?
Yes, I absolutely loved styles. That, I think for me, that moment where you showed us how to reformat a document that could be 2,000 pages long in a minute and a half, and you counted it down, and that was saying to people, and where do we go now? And where do we go now? And you click the timer and it was a minute and a half. That has revolutionized the way I send my stuff to my designer.
Right.
And it's just saved so much time because now it is just formatted. It's really easy to drop it in.
I always say eliminating unessential work and raising our level of productivity so that we're using the right tools. Just like any carpenter or tool man, what do they call people with tools? Workmen. I obviously don't have tools or work with tools, but imagine if you have all these tools, you wouldn't know what to use. It's a matter of knowing exactly what tool to use, when to use it. That's going to have the best effect and biggest impact. I want people to get home to their families on time. When I wake up for some reason in the middle of the night, and I think about somewhere right now there's an assistant trying to meet a deadline, and that hurts me to a core. Or even a sales professional, a marketing professional, like even the Amazon HQ2 proposals, I thought, oh my gosh, the deadline is tomorrow. How many people are up late right now just trying to get that proposal looking professional with a table of contents with one click, and to the point where they are one of the last 3 sites that potentially could bring Amazon HQ to their city. So these are tools that we can all use that will directly impact the bottom line, without a doubt. So that's my mission.
Now, you travel almost as much as I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, too.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But where is the most surreal place that you have been to? Which country did you enjoy presenting in most? And not necessarily even because of the presenting, just because of going.
Well, recently, Bonnie and I and you, so you was part of that too, did a 3-week tour. So we started in Maui, then New Zealand, Sydney, thanks to you, then Seattle and Vancouver, and now here in Austin. I think New Zealand, I never thought I would ever get to New Zealand, ever. My family were big Hobbit and Lord of the Rings fans, so it was really fun. I know you're not.
No, I'm really not, but we're going to argue about that forever, in the same way as we're going to argue about The Greatest Showman, but we'll leave that right there. The Greatest Showman. Okay.
Well, and then the New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, so I love Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. Yes. So to actually be in New Zealand to have a glass of that was surreal. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so talking of surreal, okay, I know that you trained at Buckingham Palace.
We're not supposed to mention that, but okay,
Yeah, I know. I trained there too,
yes,
so I'm not meant to mention that either. And we can't talk about training actually in the palace.
Right.
But what was the thing that you came away remembering most about that?
The stress of what to wear, number one, what do you wear to the palace without acting like, oh, I didn't try. I've had this outfit forever. What to wear, number one. And then just walking, it was so surreal to walk up to the gates and being greeted by the guardsmen and they're expecting you there. And then when you're facing the palace, if you're facing like this, it's the door on the right, and then there's this red carpet, and it was just walking up to the red carpet and getting to the door, and there are people, the porters there expecting you. It was just so surreal, and it was such a huge honor. And what I would suggest to people, if they want to know what it's like in the palace, that there is a virtual reality tour on YouTube that you could just type VR Buckingham Palace, and it is truly that experience. Seeing just, it's like a living history museum. It's just amazing. And watch The Crown too, because it's it reminded me a lot of that. But it was a special moment in my life. Yeah. Right.
And then you trained Bill Gates' assistant.
Right.
And how was that?
So Lauren Gelati, Bill's assistant, came to be the Ultimate Assistant workshop with Bonnie and me. And so Lauren saw me present and said, our team needs this. And a lot of people think it's ironic that Bill's team would need training on their own technology. But what I say is they are just like you and me. Super busy, extremely, I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but just need to be productive, and they've got a leader in there that needs attention and moving around the globe, and so they wanted to optimize their skills and be at the highest level, and so they brought me in, and it was Bill's team and Melinda's team and some folks from the Gates Foundation, and it was great. They all had computers, and I've worked with them a couple of times, and it's just Bonnie and I talk about John Wooden, the UCLA basketball coach, and one of our favorite quotes is, "It's what you learn after you know it all that counts." So even at a level of Bill's team, still want to learn the latest and greatest. Again, going back to when I was at Microsoft, I had 10 certifications. I was an expert. I was teaching Microsoft employees pivot tables and getting them ramped up. Even I didn't know that button existed. So we're never too expert level to know what the latest and greatest tools are. And even as simple as just Control A in a range that's been around forever, that simple thing could be the one thing that gets you out of the office. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Now, I know we're talking mainly business, but I can't interview you without asking you how you are. And obviously last year you had breast cancer. How are you feeling?
Yeah, so I am feeling perfect. I mean, it's what a difference it was a year ago when I was in New Orleans for IAP Summit to now. You know, it's funny when you go through that, you don't know what your capacity is. I just know I can't empty a dishwasher, or I can't walk from here to the restroom at an airport that in two minutes. It takes me 5 minutes to get there. You don't know that's happening. As soon as chemo ended and all the surgeries were done, it was just back to normal again. So cancer-free remission since September 19th of 2017, so almost 1 year anniversary from that. Feeling great and loving all the support that people are coming up to me that have gone through cancer, or to know someone has gone through cancer. So I love hearing everyone's stories, and my message to everyone is get screened. Like, any weird symptoms, I didn't have any symptoms, but it was just
You had no lumps, did you?
No, it was just a mammogram that found it, and then a subsequent MRI that found the final 2 additional tumors, so 3 tumors total. But yeah.
And I'm loving the new look.
Thank you.
Yeah, the hair is very, very pretty.
So my long, curly red hair used to take me 4 hours to dry it, because I would air dry it. So if my call time was 8 a.m. for a speaking engagement, I would have to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, take my shower, and just work for 3 hours, because I had this block of time I had to air dry. No more. No.
How wonderful.
I know.
You've got your life back.
So
in all ways.
4 hours times 4 times a week, that's 16 hours of air drying time that I'm saving. But you know what I miss most about cancer, and it's the weirdest thing, is I miss chemo days, where every Monday I would go sit in a chair for 4 to 6 hours, and that was my permission to unplug. My kids' principal can't call me. Their teachers can't call me. The kids get, no one can call me or touch me during that time or access me. And I could sleep. I could read. I could watch Friends episodes. I can visit with my chemo buddies like Bonnie and Robert and Anne and Rosemarie and all my friends that came to visit me. And now I realize, I want that 6-hour chunk back each week. So I'm learning to spread that out over the week. I need 6 hours of me time where it's untouchable. I can read, or I can write, or I can sleep. I can do whatever I want. So I'm learning how to just take that chunk and spread it out. I'm not really good at it yet, but that is the one thing I miss about chemo day. I mean, about having cancer, so chemo days. Those are special days.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of all that, we had Webathon.
Oh my gosh.
And that must have just been, to me, it kind of started as a project that obviously we're going to do a bit of fundraising, but actually the outpouring of love for you was just incredible. And I know how loved you are in the profession.
It was humbling.
It overwhelmed me totally.
Yeah. It was definitely humbling. I'm going to try not to cry about it, but or shed any tears. Be strong, be strong, be strong. Look, I don't really want to be out on the internet and it's like, let's help Vickie, because you're like, this is crazy, people wanting to help me. But it was just honestly the sweetest I just was overwhelmed with all the support. And even Desmond Tutu,
I know. I'm supporting Vickie Evans, and there's Desmond Tutu there, whoa.
Right. And having people like Reggie and Anne and Rose, everyone, and all the trainers that spent time putting together a training segment for us that could benefit assistants. It was I mean, incredible. And I know how much work it is for even recording one session. And you and your team, you had to do this above and beyond your day jobs. So I was like, and I just cannot thank you enough for doing that. People are still talking about the Webathon in those sessions, even non-assistants. I remember David here in Austin. It's like, I'm not even an assistant, and I love those sessions.
But it was just such an honor, and actually it just took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Right.
Really
we'll
good.
figure out how to package it up and figure out how to get people access to it. We can raise money for other assistants in need. It would be great.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Now, I know that moving forwards, you're not intending to do so much travelling. You're doing a lot more webinars that you're beaming into places.
Right.
That's because of work-life balance?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is scale and reach as many people as possible, but scale this. So in order to reach as many people as possible, I need to figure out a way of how to do it, because there's only one of me. And so one of the things we're doing this fall is we're having 30-minute video programming. So I'm pushing out 30-minute content training modules for assistants to then broadcast during their lunch and learns, so that they're constantly learning throughout the year, and then also leveraging their own expertise and their own documents and spreadsheets. So they have a month to do homework using the skills I taught them, and then they can report back to their group of how they implemented the tips internally. So it's really going to empower the groups and teams of assistants in an organization like never before, and allow me to reach more people. So I'm really excited about that.
Wonderful, but you also do quite a lot of this for kind of in-house conferences, don't you?
Right. Yeah. So people are like having, Admin Professionals Week or Admin Professionals Day, conferences, even new markets. We're getting requests from legal associations, state bar associations. We've got a request for Resume Writers Association, Meeting Planners International. So really any group that uses or leverages Microsoft Productivity or Google or Apple, Mac or PC, if they want to use the tools better. So any audiences like that and corporations, and then scaling it that way. And we're also looking for up-and-coming trainers too, that people that are, if they're the ones that are being asked to help other people on the team and they love technology, then contact us, because we're, looking for people that want to do what we do.
But you aren't unpacking yet, are you? Because, I know that you're still travelling with Bonnie. You've got a lot of these Be the Ultimate Assistants coming up, and you're doing stuff for Q1, for ELS, and then you're obviously coming to live as well. So where can people see you in the flesh?
In the flesh. Certainly go to redcapeco.com and look at our calendar, because I'll have the speaking calendar there. Executive Secretary Live, your session. So we're doing Johannesburg in September, and then we're doing Silicon Valley in November, and then 2019, who knows where we're going to be, right? You haven't made
planning next
yet.
month.
And then all around the country for ELS Forum, and with Bonnie with Be the Ultimate Assistant. So betheultimateassistant.com, workshop schedules there, elsforum.com for the ELS forums, and then executivesecretarylive.com for you, or come to our website. Yeah.
So, what is next for Vickie Sokol Evans?
Well, I am just about to publish my next book, which is 100 Life-Changing Tips Using Microsoft Office for Mac. I've been dying to get this out. So, yeah, it's coming the fall of 2018, depending on when you're watching this. And I'm really excited about having that book out. So, whether you have PC or Mac using Microsoft Office for those either two platforms, it's going to be fun. So we'll probably do a book tour. I think should be the next thing we plan for 2019.
Sounds phenomenal.
Yes.
Vickie Sokol Evans, thank you so much for your time.
Lucy.
Enjoyed to spend time as usual.
You too.
Thank you.
Love you.